Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm Andy RC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the iFlight iH3 long-range 3-inch freestyle brushless micro. Now this has been sent to me as a prototype and I always struggle to do a proper review of a prototype because things might change and I can only comment on what I have received. But at the making of this video they are listing this guy on their website but as an RTF, so you get this, you get the X-Lite transmitter, the R9M module, and you have got the R9 mini receiver in there, but it's a pricey model. I received this as a bind and fly. I think they should list it as a bind and fly because people are already going to have that kind of gear and it will bring the price down a little bit. But I really like what this thing is doing. I mean, look, we have got a Runcam split mini up the front, so yes, we're going to have a full HD freestyle model with a top mount battery, and with this 4-cell 650 milliamp battery it weighs just 236 grams, so it's under that magic 250 gram limit that all the regulators talk about, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem to get flying. And yeah, it's just a really nice setup and it's long range as well. So to get the weight down they have used an 1108 5000 kV motor, so you can use a 3 to 4S battery with it. Plenty of power on that motor. They are using the Emax 3-inch propellers. Yes, and as you can see we've got the Runcam split mini in here. It does not have camera controls hooked up, and that is because this F4 flight controller, it's only got so many UARTs, so it has got the telemetry hooked up for the R9 mini, which is nice, and we have got 20 amp BL Heli D-Shot 600 ESCs, and above that we have got a switching VTX up to 200 milliwatt, and that is using tramp protocol, so they've connected that up, which is fine for me because I like to use the stop and start record button on here anyways rather than camera controls. The only thing I will say is that we've got this long range system here, but then we've only got a 200 milliwatt VTX. So I think for this system I would have liked to have seen maybe a 600 milliwatt, because this long range stuff for mini quads, it's not for long range, it's for penetration through objects, and you know, if you are doing that kind of freestyle flying you're gonna want to have the higher powered VTX as well for the penetration for your video signal. They do give you 2 brackets with this, and that is so that you can fit a normal micro FPV cam, so you can run 2 cameras at the same time. And back here we've got 2 massive capacitors for noise, and that's in this 3D printed housing here. We've got a lollipop antenna on the top here as well. You get this nice battery strap. They give you some of that dual lock stuff for your battery. I prefer a silicon mat myself. And then yes, we have got this 3D printed mount for the antennas here. Now when this came in its box, these antennas were bent upwards. I've had to sort of bend them down, so yeah, that is something that is tricky when adding long range to a 3-inch model, is where do you put the antennas, because you know, for the 900 megahertz or 868 megahertz system you are going to have a bigger antenna, but they have done it, and I've flown this quite a lot and it's not gotten caught in the propellers. Now the receiver did come flash with the FCC version of the firmware, so if you are buying this in Europe then you are going to have to, you know, change that out. It's not connected up via F port, it's connected up by S bus, and the telemetry wire is separate. So yeah, we've got this H-frame here. It's a really nice quality. The Betaflight was set up almost perfectly. I just had to change a couple of things with the on-screen display. It did come flash with Betaflight version 3.5 with Omnibus F4 SD as the target. I did just have one issue, and I think it's the version that it has come with. Maybe it's a beta or something like that, but it would not let me select the RSSI as an aux channel. Every time I tried to change it, I save it and then go out of the screen, go back in, and it was disabled. I even went into the CLI and tried to put the command in there manually, and every time I went back it just wouldn't save. So I guess I need to flash another version of Betaflight to that, and hopefully it'll fix that problem. I didn't want to do that for this flight though, because I wanted to see how it flew with all of the stock settings. I know that's important to you guys. You're going to want to know what you are going to get if you just try and fly it straight out of the box. And you can use a bigger battery than this, however you're going to go above that 250 gram weight limit. I think with an 850 milliamp battery the weight was 265 grams. Well, we have got gale force winds here today, which isn't ideal, but I wanted to do a line of sight with this guy just so you can sort of hear what it's like and see what the punch is like. You know, it's a freestyle copter, this one, so it's not really about speed, but I think it's important to know how loud something is, and you know, I would say it's moderate. Just about hear it over this wind, and it's gonna fly fine in this weather. The tune at line of sight just feels superb. It really does. And yeah, this wind's got to be what, 15 to 20 mile per hour gusting. And that's what I love about copters. You could just fly them in any weather. Even if it's raining and you've put conformal coating on there, you can fly them. Oh, I hope you can hear me. This is some crazy wind. But yeah, seems to be performing nicely on the line of sight despite these conditions. This is a 4S 650 milliamp battery. I think 850 milliamp probably give a better flight time. Just flick it back into angle mode. I'm trying to see if there's any drift. I don't think there's any drift, but it's hard to tell with this wind. So let's take a look at some of the split mini and DVR footage, and yeah, this thing flew just great out of the box. I didn't need to change anything with the PIDs. It flew super smooth, and as you can see, we don't have any props in shot whatsoever. Now, this was a high exposure day, so this is around about noon and it's sunny, and I am getting a little bit of Jallo through to the split feed, which I think they even say on their website that it shouldn't get Jallo. Now, in their defense, these split minis, when the exposure is high, when the sun is out, they do get a bit of Jallo, and if it was an overcast day, then you wouldn't see that. So I'm defending it a little bit there because it's really tricky with the split in general. Now, as for the FPV feed, despite those big two capacitors on the back, there is a little bit of noise feeding through to the system. I'm going to defend it again though, because I've done quite a few builds with the split, and it's very difficult not to get noise through to the FPV feed. I only managed it once, so I did the Flex RC 3-inch Ascent build with the HDL-RC system, and I got a super clean video feed with that. So do a search for that if you're interested in building a split mini 3-inch model and want a clean video feed. But you know what? It's not bad at all. It's a shame that I couldn't get the RSSI working on this version of the firmware, because this is a long-range system. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch out the version of Betaflight and hopefully can get that resolved, or it's some kind of setting that I've got wrong. But as I say, that's how it came out of the box. So I don't have the RSSI value on there, so we can't see how this R9 system is performing. But I just want to say, I think it's great. You know, we're talking about having under 250 gram models that have the HD feed. You know, you wouldn't know that it wasn't a 5-inch model. You know, I think we do need some improvements with the split. We've got the single board version coming, of course. I think we need a better microphone to compete with the Session 5 myself, but overall I think this has been a good package. I hope they release it as a bind and fly. I'll link to what they have on their website at the moment. And yeah, I got just under a 3-minute flight time with the 650 milliamp battery, so I think the ideal battery would be 850 milliamp, but yeah, it does send it over that weight limit. So there you go, that is my review, and as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.